Join us for a driving review of the Audi e-tron GT. Let's go! This one is held in the vehicle color. The standard would be in a gray or silver note, but you can also get it in black for a more sinister styling. Also, the Audi rings either in chrome or in black available. And you can see here really wide stands on the road. LED, matrix LED, laser light. These are the steps here, and we can see these are the optional top trim laser lights then with the blue accentuations. The length is at 4.99 meters, 16'4" or 196 inches. So a really substantial length, comparable to an Audi A7, but this one here is flatter than an Audi A7. It shares the platform and technology with the Porsche Taycan, so they are indeed siblings. But is this an Audi Porsche? Technology-wise, maybe yes, but there are really notable differences, especially in the interior. Soon more to that. Then the standard e-tron model starts here with mirror caps in the vehicle color, but you can also get them in black or in carbon fiber. And then there are a lot of technological options which are standard for the RS model. For example, tungsten carbide brakes we have here today. They have a special coating and they reduce brake dust and are also better in the braking performance. Then 19 to 21 inch wheels. These are the 20 inch wheels for today in an aerodynamic styling. Then other technology starting with the suspension. It starts here, the normal model, with a base suspension which is already adaptive. So when you set to sports mode, it will also get stiffer. Optional or standard for the RS, a 3-chamber air suspension. The same also counts for a rear differential lock. Optional or standard for the RS, and also the same for the rear axle steering. And a very strong rear in the middle, the light strip goes through, and then on the outside it fades out in these single elements, really spectacular too. And a very consistent design here also with a contrasting lower diffuser. As for the specs, you either have the base model, it calls, sounds like it would be cheap or low spec or something, but yeah, already has a horsepower peak of 530 horsepower and goes 4.1 seconds to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And the RS model would have a horsepower peak of 650 horsepower and goes in 3.3 seconds in the acceleration figure. Both, of course, pretty impressive. The top speed, by the way, is 245 kilometers an hour here for the e-tron GT and 250 kilometers an hour for the e-tron GT RS, let's call it that way, because Audi officially calls it Audi RS e-tron GT. But that sounds weird, doesn't it? So 5 kilometers an hour difference. Our American friends just have to remember both a little bit over 150 miles per hour. First, find a highway to drive that. What both models have in common is the battery size, 93 kilowatt hours gross or 85 kilowatt hours net. This will deliver you this electric range of about 400 kilometers or 250 miles. Recharging, there's a charging port here on the co-driver side. 11 kilowatt standard, optional 22 kilowatt. I think they should have made it standard. With 22 kilowatt, it takes about 5.5 hours for a full charge. Then DC charging station went up to 270 kilowatt. And you get as standard here on the other side, another AC charger. If you would have the UK model, it would be the other way around. Then you have the DC port also at the driver's side and the other one at the co-driver side. Here for the normal e-tron GT, this seat is an option, but you should go for it because then you can get either this one here, the fabric setup, some leather on the outside, fabric on the inside, or you can get it with a Dynamica microfiber on the inside, like on the steering wheel. That would be the standard for the US model. And headroom here with the panoramic roof. Plenty headroom left with 1 A6, 6.1. When I move to the side here, that gets a little bit closer then the 10.1-inch infotainment system here with touch. Soon more details to that. On the left side, we have 12.3-inch digital instruments, all standard. Once again, the steering wheel, compact size. Right side to control the volume, the voice input. Left side to control the digital instruments. Audi virtual cockpit here, fully charged and projected range. Yeah, 390, so 400 kilometers, 250 miles. And they have a very good overview of what you're seeing right here. You are very flexible because you can have, for example, also the GPS in there. Just with the left thumb, you can zoom in and out. Then the Audi main menu like this. You can have this main menu. I rather use this here on the side to access the GPS, for example. Here we also have the satellite view. If you go to the Audi Drive Select, also accessible in the lower part, you can see here the air suspension. If you have one equipped with that, standard for the RS, it raises or goes down, for example, in dynamic mode or in the efficiency mode for, better wind efficiency. It's the lowest one then here. So about 2.2 centimeters, so 1.5 inches goes lower. And the same, as I said, also in dynamic mode, it also goes lower than in the normal mode. I have the seat as I would be driving with 1.86 or 6.1, and indeed I fit in here very well, no problem. Now I can really enjoy also the panoramic roof. To the sides here, that's the only thing that gets close, so you have to move your head a little bit more towards the middle, and then you can live with that also headroom. The trunk, 405 liters, it's not too high. Here I have this net where you can secure things. When I put a backpack inside, you see it does fit in here height-wise. And then you have here 81 liters in the front area. Goes also deep in there, and of course, for example, suitable for the charging cables. Left foot on the brake, right on the throttle. Let's go. Whoa, that was 120 kilometers an hour. Whew! That went quick. And of course, rather silent. We are in the dynamic mode. It gives some kind of electric sound, but not as much as in the Porsche Taycan. And the cool thing is, we have two electric motors, one in the front, one in the rear, quattro. And the one in the rear also has a 2-speed transmission. So that's very rare in the electric segment. Here now 90 kilometers, like 55 miles an hour. And so we are already at speed, and we will accelerate it out to 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles. Let's go. But still reasonably silent here considering the speed, and the car is so stable on the road, really feels like a supercar. Difference indeed already feeling right now to the Porsche Taycan. The suspension, even in a dynamic mode, is softer. So it feels very sporty, but the Taycan is more race car alike, whereas this one here more transport Gran Turismo. The name says GT. The energy consumption here at these really high speeds, 180 kilometers an hour, is by the way around 40 something kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's around 64 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. That means at this speed the car would run like 200 kilometers or 125 miles. But then again, when you put the speed to around 120, 130 kilometers an hour, so like 80 miles an hour, then you have an energy consumption of about 25 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So, that's then rather in the 40 something kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And then you can score some 300 kilometers of range or some 200 miles of range. And once again, we're at 150 kilometers an hour, German motorway, unlimited speed, once again. Still the speed is coming, and Now a lane change at over 200 kilometers an hour. So stable here. It feels like nothing, you know. Once again back, super precise from the steering. As for the recuperation here, by the way, usually their philosophy is here for the e-tron, let it roll. So there's not, in the standard setting, not a harsh recuperation. You lift your throttle and the car is rolling, and you do the regenerative braking when you're using the brakes. And first of all, the recuperation is being used. If you need more braking power, then it also uses the real brakes. You also have the predictive assistant. That means that, for example, when there's like an intersection coming, the car is reducing the speed in advance to be more efficient and so on. The car doesn't feel too big or too heavy. That's also the thing we have experienced a lot of times with electric vehicles. They are heavy with the battery centered, in the center of the car. But since it brings down the center of gravity so much, they feel more agile, they feel sportier. That's definitely always a thing. Now we emptied the battery for you to about 20%. Yeah, we enjoyed doing that for you. That's awesome. That's a new record here. That's really, really fast. So then we just need a couple of minutes and we are basically once again good to go. However, the 250 kilowatt doesn't stay all the way. You can see here now we're at 40% and then we're slowing down to 150 kilowatt, but that's still very, very fast. And now to our conclusion for today with the Audi e-tron GT. From the exterior, really striking, a more angular design than the sibling, the Porsche Taycan, for example, and really flat and low. And on the interior, a great build quality, also an own Audi styling, so really different from the Porsche Taycan. Great with the paradigm shift that they also offer an animal-free interior, and that also, a really substantial share of the Audi e-tron that is being sold will have the animal-free interior. Fabric then the choice also for Europe, or the dynamic car microfiber, and in the US standard for the dynamic car microfiber. Not yet with the fabric, maybe at the later stage, and also with the great microfiber steering wheel. You have more comfort also in these seats. And in general, of course, when you compare it to an, let's say, Audi A7, for example, or an S7, these cars have a little bit more long-term comfort. This is still a very sports-oriented vehicle, seating-wise, and has more the Porsche geometry. So I don't feel super comfortable as for the seating geometry. So for long-term, I would still prefer, like a vehicle like an A7. However, from the whole philosophy, I would definitely prefer this. This when you want the sportier touch. Suspension-wise, however, this is here super comfortable. It's very comfortable and sporty at the same time. This, to me, driving-wise, is also different to the Porsche Taycan. This one here, a true GT character, more comfort, whereas the Porsche more has a little bit more of, racing style. Difference to the Tesla is, to me, that the agility of the driving is way better, and also this mix of comfort and sportiness. Of course, the Tesla's even quicker in the acceleration, although you also can get the RS model here. And the Tesla is more efficient and has a better range, especially when you drive higher speed on the motorway. However, you can get along with this range in good conditions, and when you don't exceed the speed, as I said, about 400 kilometers or about 250 miles. And if you drive faster or it's winter time, it's really cold outside, then rather towards 300 kilometers or something less than 200 miles. So that's what you get. That's what you have. Overall, a super impressive vehicle, a very flawless driving experience, and once again, more sustainability at Audi finally, and really great what they've done with this interior. A very exciting car, and I can really say, was there another flaw? Yeah, I mean, in the middle console where you put your smartphone, that's a little bit narrow. That's maybe the only flaw in this respect we discovered. Other than that, we've seen here when we drove around so many different regions here in the north part of Germany. This car's catching so much attention. Everyone's like, whoa, what's that? Everyone's like putting out the smartphones, taking photos and so on, or asking like, what's that vehicle? So definitely you get a lot of attention with that one. So clearly, this is driving here a sports luxury car and driving it with a better conscience. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode for today. Tune in next time.